Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Okay, so this is going to be a completely different video. It's kind of a message I want to get out there because of some things that have been going on. Okay, first of all, Mercury is in retrograde, people. It is real, and I'm going to explain in a minute. This isn't really about Mercury in retrograde, though. It's about some things that have been happening on my channel. Okay, so right now there are 7, or it's either 7 plus Mercury's in retrograde, or so that would be 8. So it's either 7 or 8 planets, major planets, are in retrograde. So it's causing a lot of stress. A lot of people are exhausted. They've got anxiety. It's like they're just, things are hectic. All right, so the first thing I noticed is about 3 or 4 days after Mercury went into retrograde, YouTube videos. Not all, but one would just start playing, and then boom, the volume would just be gone. I thought, there's something wrong with my computer. So then I'd go to another video, boom, audio sounds fine. And it happened again about a day later, and then I went to another video, boom, audio was fine. I played, some music on my computer from the computer, so it's fine. So you got to remember, Mercury in retrograde not only makes computers and electronics glitchy, it makes humans glitchy. Now, there's something that's been going on my channel I'm going to talk about right now. Alright, so a few people in the last, let's say 2 weeks or so, maybe it's been the last week, more like, is they'll just say, hey, so I see comments have been disappearing. And so one was Mary, and I said, well, what are you talking about? And then I said, and I gave her some examples. She never responded after 3 days, so I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you're not communicating with me, so I don't know what's going on. So with her, I actually found some of hers in what's called the held. For some reason, they thought hers were spam, okay? And all I have to do is click a check mark, and boom, they got re-uploaded. Now, there's someone who made a comment today. I forget what she said, something to the effect of, her comment was not there, or there was a heart on it. It's not on there now. So there have been quite a few things. So okay, I'm going to be really honest up front before I get into it. But there are some people that I just deleted their comments because they were rude, they were offensive, they were disrespectful, they were out of line. Now these two people, the second one, I don't remember her name or anything at all. I asked her what was your comment. She never responded, so I don't know how to help you if you don't tell me what happened. Okay. The first one, Mary, very much know who that is, so she's commented quite a bit, and I did not delete any of her messages. She's always been really cool. Love her comments. Everything's been really good. So here's what I'm saying. Let me see if I can find another piece. Hold on. Alright, so here is a section that YouTube has. So if you have a YouTube channel and you use it and upload videos, there's a section where they will keep comments. And so, God, how to explain this? I think I'm doing this backwards. Hold on. Alright, so in this section, okay, so this is inside my admin as the last images. And in this section, now if you look up in the upper left hand corner, these are the ones that are published. And then there's the one that says hold for review. Well, I will see your comments in here regardless, okay? And I will comment, and I've had people comment me back not knowing that it never showed up on the actual channel, okay? So what I will find is that there are comments in the held. So if you see next to publish where it says held for, sorry, it's kind of small, held for review. I just recently clicked on that about a week ago when someone said, hey man, what's going on with my comments? Well, only one of the persons I found their comments being held here, and they were being held as spam. And the thing about it is this person comments all the time. They're not spam, but I think I know why. Now here's the deal. I think it was 2, maybe 3 of her comments were being held. So I don't understand, because she comments all the time. So I was kind of like, well, why were these ones being held? All right, so take a look at this right here. Now this person is fine, there's nothing wrong. I just used it because if you look up where the name goes, it says @user-zb5io8rg, whatever. I find that people that have these without an actual name in there, these are the ones that tend to get held in spam, because this has happened in the past, okay? So I guess here the reason why I'm making this video is because a couple of people have made some comments. Some were kind of hot, some was just kind of cold. I didn't get any response back. I don't understand what's going on. So one person just asked a question, and it was just a plain, simple question that said, "Are you a narcissist?" And my first thought was like, "No. Why would you ask that?" And I actually did it. I think I said nope, and then I said, "Why would you ask that?" And they didn't respond back. So after 3 days, I just deleted their comment. So if you leave a comment like that and you don't respond back after I answer you, give me a reason. In fact, it's better. Okay, it's better yet. You should probably actually, if you ask a question like that, give me a reason. Explain yourself. Like, why are you asking that? I mean, I'm a channel that's teaching people how to heal from narcissist abuse, avoid narcissist. Now, I do understand there is a possibility, because there's a couple people out there that are narcissists that have channels that are helping people to understand narcissism. And so, is that why? Like, why would you ask? Now, here's another thing that I've noticed that's been going on. So again, this is in my admin. These are right now the top 2 comments. So as I scroll down, and again, this just started about 3 or 4 days after Mercury went into retrograde, I'll see a comment, and then I'll come back an hour later or a day later, and boom, the spot where the comment, let's say the second one here, would be completely blank. Now, normally, if someone deletes their comment, it just the lower one comes up, and there's not a blank space. And for some reason, one had 2 blank spaces, and then I scrolled down a little more, and there was 1 blank space, and I'm like, what is this? And so I went on to the actual video, and the comments were gone. So what I assumed was, oh, they must have deleted their comment, because I had never seen that before. And after this, I got 2 people saying, hey, why I noticed some comments are missing. And I responded both of them like, okay, what do you mean? Like, did you delete them? Are you saying that they disappeared? Like, explain this a little bit more. And they wouldn't respond, so I just deleted those comments. So then there's the people that play that game, and I forget the name of it, but we call it a double bind in NLP. It's where you ask a question, and it's an either or question. And both answers make you look bad, okay? So this is what I call entrapment questions. There's another one in the community, another phrase that's called. It's when you ask questions in a way that pushes someone into a bad answer. And I can't remember the name of it right now. One of the strategies is says, well, don't you believe this, or don't you believe so-and-so? And in the minute someone says that to me, even if I do, I'll just say, nope, I don't believe that at all. And they'll be like, oh, are you sure? Yeah, I'm fucking sure, man. Because I don't like questions where people are getting trapped. If you're asking a genuine question you genuinely want to know, don't use the word don't. Don't sit there and go, well, don't you this and don't you that. Like, boom, I'm already done. So here's another thing you got to understand. So on my side of the fence, I'm sitting here trying to create a community where people feel safe to share. I mean, I would like to believe that for the most part, most of you feel pretty safe on this channel. I think it helps you to relax and calm down, and that's the whole goal of it. So if I find people on there being attacking people, and I'm going to get rid of them. I'm going to get rid of the message. I'm going to give them a warning, say, hey man, don't do this. Or if it's bad enough, I'll just get rid of them and just delete it. So here's the deal. This message really, for 99% of you, you guys have been wonderful. It has been really inspiring to make these videos for you guys. The response that I've been getting back has been absolutely amazing. I think all I want to share with you is on my side of the fence, there's a little bit of, I don't know what the right word is, a little bit of a battle going on. I'm just going to be blunt. Okay, so my last narcissist flat out was telling me, he goes, well, you might have blocked my social media account, but I'm going to make some fake ones. And so it's like, well, that's what I'm battling. It's not just that person, it's other people, it's other narcissists. They find this channel, they don't like me showing you guys the truth. They don't want people to know the truth. So what are they going to do? They're going to go after me. They're going to try to shut me down. They're going to try to, make my channel look bad. And here's another one. And I forget who posted this in the last 3 or 4 or 5 days, and it said, I think they said the religious narcissists are the worst. So these are the people that will say, well, don't you believe this and don't you believe that because the Bible says this, like, oh, you're going to go to hell. And it's funny because I found a video today where the guy says, no, if you have a misunderstanding of one of these teachings, it doesn't mean you're going to go to hell. And there's another word he used for like whether you're going to go to heaven or hell, but this is not the case, okay? All right, so she asked me about past lives, and she's like, yeah, but it says this. Well, it's funny because in one verse in one book it says one thing, but then in another verse it says something completely different. And it's one of those things where scholars are divided, okay? Where like one will just argue over here, say, no, this is the truth. And the other's like, yeah, but it says right here. So here's my answer to that person. So my answer is, do I believe in past lives? Elijah. Go ahead and read your Bible. Oh, here it is for you. Okay. So some verses in the Gospels seem to say that John the Baptist was Elijah, but others say he was not. Is this a contradiction? Let's take a look. Number 1, yes, he was. Matthew 11, 13, 14. For all the prophets and the law prophesied. John 14. And if you care to accept it, he himself is Elijah who was to come. Well, there you go. There's your answer. There's past life right there. And it's in the Bible. But then, number 2, this is in the book of John. Now it says, no, he's not. So here's the point I'm trying to make. Biblical scholars have had arguments. Now, of course, when you listen to this guy talk about this, here's the deal. I didn't even finish what he was going to say. I just grabbed this, took a picture, and put it up. Because he's going to tell us what he believes based on why he believes something. Now, let me explain something. I don't believe. I know. Once you go through a spiritual awakening, a true spiritual awakening. Okay, so the awakening that's going on right now, this is nothing compared to what I went through when I was 20 years old. That was an awakening of, man, I do not know how to say other than a spiritual awakening. A lot of you guys, I know you're waking up like, whoa, this is really cool. What's this kind of scary? This is nothing. I'm telling you, this whole narcissistic awakening thing, this is nothing compared to what I went through when I was 20 years old. Knowing is a physical experience. Believing is something you don't actually know, but you make a choice by faith to believe. I don't believe apples are delicious. I know they're delicious because I've actually tasted them. I've actually bitten into them and I've eaten them. And I know what they taste like by physical experience. So the Bible even talks about to know her. To know her means to have physically had sex with her. So when you physically have sex with someone, that is a deeper knowing of who someone actually is. You know them on a physical, energetic, emotional level. Now, I might know a woman, but I don't actually know her. So I might know her name. I might have lunch with her twice a week for a year. I know her, but I don't know her on a knowing level, a physical level. So a lot of you have came to my channel and you're like, wow, there's something different going on here like that. I mean, I've heard this explained 10 times and I never, either A, I never understood what it meant, or B, I thought I understood what it meant, but now that he explained it this way, this really gives me a deeper understanding and adds clarity. Alright, so the reason, okay, so when I first went through this narcissistic thing 3 years ago, or a little bit over that, when I just left, I was like, I'm done. I could not listen to Sam Vaknin. I tried to, but after 10 minutes or 5 minutes, I was like, oh, I can't listen to this guy. He was too up in his head. The idea of a narcissist, oh, I'm going to help people, I just thought, it repulsed me. Now, for the first time, I listened to an entire 27-minute video of Sam Vaknin. I didn't have to turn it off. This was about 4 nights ago. And here's what I realized, like, holy shit, this is everything that I've been teaching in my course. This is a video that, or not course, but the videos that I'm making on YouTube. This is a video that I found, I think it was 2 or 3 nights ago approximately. And I'm like, wow, this is what I've been saying for the last 2 years. So how do I know this? Because of actual knowing. From physically going through the fire. That's how you know something. It's like, you know, I have a friend who's never played football, okay? And he's like, oh, I know how to play football. I'm like, oh, do you really? You think you could play football? Oh, yeah, totally. I'm like, really? Let me tell you something. I thought I knew how to play football until I joined the football team in high school. And then I realized I had no clue how to play football. It's one thing to sit there and be an armchair quarterback. It's another thing to step on the field, put on the pads, put on the helmet, and play against another side, 11 guys that are trying to knock you on your ass. That's when you learn how to play football. And that's when you know football. So the teachings that I teach people is not because I read it in a book. It's not because I believe. It's not because I have faith. It's because I've experienced them. I had very deeply spiritual experiences, okay? A lot of them I will call people, I'll tell it, I put it on YouTube, I put it on my Facebook page. Hey, here's what's going to happen. This is going to happen within 15 days, or this is going to happen tomorrow. Like that airplane that went down, that disappeared in India, in the Indian Ocean. I think it was 2, 3, 4 years ago, something like that. I put 777, and people are like, what is this, a game? I'm like, no, I think a lot of people are either going to die or they're going to go missing. Like, why? I'm like, I don't know. It's this big tube. I I think it's a plane, but I'm not sure. Well, the model of the plane was a 777. So do I believe in prophecy, or do I know prophecy? I know prophecy because I do it. So she went on to say, well, how do you know that that isn't demonic? Well, right at that point, now here's another thing. In her writing, she had, well, don't you think, not this, I don't believe, not, no, not, that isn't, is not. And I was like, after about the 5th or 7th not, I was like, oh, dealing with a narcissist. So here's the simple answer. Well, how do I know? Because I'm close to God. I mean, aren't you? So I'm throwing that "are not" back at her. So it's like, when you're close to God, you know. So there's something called discernment. So just last night or the night before, I came across a video on YouTube where it was this young Christian guy saying, I'm going to teach you how to know if you have discernment. And I started to type out, but then I thought, nah, I better not. Leave him alone. I started to say, I started to write down, trust me, if you have discernment, you know. Because that's what discernment is. Sorry, I can't stop laughing. So discernment is knowing. So you know if you have discernment. There's no question. So if you're sitting there going, well, how do I know? Trust me, that's how you know that you don't have it. If someone has to tell you what discernment is, you don't have it. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. And even to that guy, it's kind of like, well, if you had discernment, you would know that you don't need to teach people that they have discernment, because you would know that they would know. All right, now let's talk about faith and believing. Those are good things because they open the door. That's the door you have to walk through in order to find out. And that's the whole point of all of this, is for you to walk through with faith to find out. It's exactly like if you want to learn how to be a bodybuilder or a power lifter or get stronger. You're going to listen to someone by faith who's going to teach you how to lift weights in a better way and eat nutritiously in a better way so you can gain muscle and get stronger. If you didn't believe them, then you're not going to do it. If you didn't have faith, you're not going to listen to them. It's not some deep spiritual thing. It's a common sense thing. When you were in first grade and you were learning 1 + 1 = 2, believe it or not, whether you realize it, you listened to your teacher by faith because you didn't know. It wasn't until they taught you the basic math when you could turn back around and go, wow, 1 + 1 really is 2. Now I know. It's a physical thing that you experience. It's a knowing. So when someone asks me, well, how do you know if it's demonic or not? Well, it's pretty obvious. I mean, like, I don't know how to explain that to you, because I can see it, I can hear it, I can feel it, I can smell it, and I can taste it. Literally. I mean, how disconnected would you have to be to experience demonic presence and evil and mean things and not recognize, like, oh, that's pretty mean, that's pretty evil? You would have to be pretty lost, confused, and and disconnected from yourself. So what I would say to that lady, to that person, I would say, you really, 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 really need to get close to God right now. You better start praying your butt off, because I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to make it. Do you know why I know that? Because in order for you to ask that question, that means you're disconnected. In order to ask that question in the way that you did, well, don't you think not, won't, shan't, can't, won't, shan't, not that, and also used it as an entrapment question, you're a narcissist, and I see you. So, guys, here's one thing I want you guys to understand. How to explain this? Okay, let me say. Okay, here's how I want to say it. So, yes, there are people on here trying to throw me off my game, telling me not to do this or don't do that, or I don't believe this, I don't believe. And that's fine. You believe or don't believe, just go somewhere else. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm not asking you to believe anything. This is not a Christian church. I'm not your pastor. And how to explain this? I know I quote the Bible a lot, but what is my intention? And that's what you should be looking for. My intention is to free you from narcissists. My intention is to give you a space where you feel safe, where you feel comfortable, where you actually feel good, where you're enjoying the experience. My other intention is this. God is love. Jesus Christ said it himself. God is of love. How does Jesus say it? God is love, or I forget how he said it. He also said that love is the fulfillment of all the commandments. Nobody can follow the commandments. That's the point. So if you're going around shaming people, blaming people, telling them they're going to hell because they're not perfect, wow, did you miss the entire Bible? I would highly recommend that you open your mind and reread the Bible, because you did not get it at all. It went right past your head. So I'm going to go back to the knowing. When I went through that 6-month spiritual awakening when I was 28 years old, it was deep, and I mean deep. This narcissist stuff is actually very surface. This is really surface level stuff. So what I've been doing is I've been coming on deeper levels, bringing you guys down deeper, going, hey, here's why the narcissist is doing this. This is what's going on inside his system, and this is what's happening. This is what's causing this. So you can be like, oh, I see. Because once you get clarity with this, all of a sudden the whole fear goes away. And that is one of my purposes. Okay, so what is sin? Sin is putting you in a fear state, panic, anxiety, confusion, doubt, all of that stuff. When you go into those states, you disconnect from God. It closes the door to the right brain, literally, neurologically, and physically, and thus you don't feel connected. Hell, I just read a woman's comment today from a while back. I don't know if it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, but she had said, I felt so disconnected. I think she said in a daze or in a fuzz, or something like that, to where she was confused and didn't feel connected and was lost. Like, yeah, that comes from being constantly in a panic state for a long period of time. You suddenly feel disconnected, and that is the goal. Getting you into a fear state disconnects you, thus disconnects you from God. Thus, you can't hear God. You can't receive God's healing. You can't receive God's message or communication, and thus you're pretty much screwed. So my message is that God loves you. Period. End of sentence. My message is God never condemned you. The narcissist condemned you. The narcissist convinced you that God condemned you. No, that is the big lie. That is what causes sin. It causes you to close off from God. And once you do that, well, you're kind of screwed. My intention is the same thing Jesus said, so you can live a full, how did he say it? It was like live a full life, like a full happy life or something. I can't remember, but it was something full. So the idea is to live a fulfilling, meaningful, happy, joyful life. That's why I use comedy. That's why I break things down. It really does come down to just being happy and living your life to the fullest and being joyful. You bump into a nasty narcissist, well, you smack him in the face, you be scratchy body like a honey badger, and the narcissist will learn real quick, oh shit, can't mess with this one. I need to find someone who's a pushover. Because that's what narcissists are looking for. They're looking for pushovers. So it's not a matter of being perfect every moment of every single second of the day. Because that's what narcissists... What, do you think you're perfect? Oh, I'm going to prove that you're not perfect. Nobody ever said they were perfect. Who the fuck said they were perfect? So here's what it's like. So let's say you open up for a day or half a day or a week or a month or 6 months and you have this amazing spiritual connection with God. And you're like, whoa, what the hell is this? Here's the deal. People will not be able to relate with you. They're going to be like, until like with me, I would show things like to my sisters, to my brothers, to my friends, to my girlfriend. Like, how did you do that? I'm like, I don't know. It's just something that I opened up to. Now I can do these things. So I was gifted, and I know I was gifted. I was gifted with 6 months of this. It was incredible. And then I popped out of it. Now, one thing I realized, like, oh, that means I have to meditate and learn how to ground myself emotionally to get back to those states, to receive those messages. And so if I don't do that, well, then I don't receive the messages. I'm just living my life like a normal human being. And it's the same thing with you. It doesn't mean you have to be perfectly open 100% of the time. Hell, Buddhist monks aren't open 100% of the time. And that's kind of the goal of going to a temple and living in a temple and being a monk, is to be open as much as possible. It doesn't mean they're open 24/7. Nobody is open 24/7. And that's one of the sneaky things narcissists try to do. Well, you're not open now. You're not perfect right now. You're not, connected right now. And it's like, yeah, so what the fuck does that mean? All I have to do is go and meditate and pray and reconnect, and boom, I open back up. And this is the dumbass trick that narcissists will try to pull on you. Well, you're not perfect. And the minute someone starts pulling that not perfect game, and they try, well, don't you believe this? And I'm going to tell you right now, the minute someone, especially when it comes to religion or pretty much anything, pulls it, well, don't you believe this and don't you believe that? Don't answer them. In fact, if anything, ask them a question and say, well, don't you realize you're being an ass jack right now? And they're like, wait, what? And say, but don't you realize that? And just ask them the dumbest question in the world. Just throw it right back at them. So with one person who said, hey, I noticed comments are missing. I found her comments are in the held section, which I believe I already showed. Yeah, hold on, let me see if I showed it. So yeah, so YouTube does its own thing that I'm not freaking aware of. And this is something I've become very aware of about 7 to 10 days ago, or maybe 5 to 10 days ago. Because I hadn't probably clicked on this thing in freaking 6 months or a year. I forgot all about it. And here's the other thing. If you look closer at the bottom line where it says show hidden comments, I didn't even know that was a link. I just clicked on it for the first time about 4 days ago. And there's actually a couple comments in there. So why am I going on and on about this? Because a couple of people got really upset with me. And it turns out neither one of their comments got deleted. And I pushed the button and turned it back on, okay? Or not turned it back on, but got it back up on the home page. So this other person who asked me a question, I'm like, I have no idea who you are. I don't know what you're talking about. So I think her comment, and there might have been 1 or 2 other people, I think their comments literally just freaking disappeared. So that is not uncommon on YouTube. People, I've heard this happen. I've seen it happen to me. I don't get butthurt about it. I don't get all angry and all. Because she came back like, oh, I guess my questions are too real for this channel. I go, well, what is your question? Please, I'll answer it. Of course, she didn't respond back. So, bye. I'm going to delete you. So again, try to look at it from my perspective. Come over to my side of the fence. I have narcissists that are coming after me on my channel. Come on, let's just be honest, okay? Number 2, I've had narcissists tell me they were going to do this, okay? And then I get people that are just in a grumpy, pissy mood, and they don't want to respond back when I'm saying like, well, what was your question? I'd be glad to answer it. Hey, there are glitches. There are legitimate things that happen with computers, with the whole internet system, okay? It's not my fault. Don't get all butthurt. Have a little bit of patience and try to see it from my perspective, all right? So let's set some ground rules. When you come to my channel, do what I'm doing. I put a lot of effort and energy making sure I get myself in a really good mood to where I can actually create something that is a comfortable experience for people, a positive experience, a loving, compassionate, understanding experience, okay? So when you come to my channel, if you're in a really grumpy mood, maybe come back to it the next day, or when you're feeling better. Go get some food, get some protein in you, get some food in you, and then take a nap, and then maybe come back when you're in a better mood. Because we're trying to create an environment where people feel comfortable and people feel safe. So another thing that I tell people is like, look, you don't have to believe it I'm saying. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to change your beliefs. It's like, listen to it, understand it, and if you don't like it or you don't believe it, hey, that's fine. You don't have to disagree with me. You don't have to, what's the word I'm looking for? Damn it. Start an argument and debate class here. You know, just be like, hey, it doesn't work for me right now. That's cool. I'll move on to the next video. Or you can always move on to another channel. And I mean that respectfully. I don't mean that in a smart-ass dickhead kind of way. It's just like, you know, some people with this channel, they really vibe. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. So I had a video that was my biggest video, the most subscribers. We got like 100 subscribers in one day. And I was like, what in the fuck? Usually I get 100 subscribers in 3 years. On about 300 videos, okay? So I was like, what the hell's going on here? The likes were through the roof. Right now I don't even know how many likes. That thing's way over 100. And the comments were all 100%. Oh my God, that's the best video. That made so much sense. And then I get one person on there that goes, man, why don't you just quit? Why don't you give up? This video sucked. Like, you don't even know what you're doing. Just all this negative. Well, what am I going to do? I just deleted the guy. I don't give a shit. Hey, that's just my style. That's my personality. That's what I'm doing. It's like, why would you do that? Because it's like, okay, I'm looking at this going, really, dude? Like, how obvious, like, are you, what's the word? It's like, it's so obvious that a lot of people like that video, and yet you're coming in trying to make me feel bad about it. Sorry, it's not going to happen. So why would I want a person on the channel that's going to be doing something like that when they're obviously being a dick? I don't. You're going to get off the channel. Bye. So here's another concept. I know it's going to it's going to stretch your brain. I'm not perfect. I know, sounds nuts, huh? I'm not perfect. The idea of this channel is to find your freedom, to find your power, and to just go live your life. Whatever it takes. That's what this channel is about. If that's not what you're about, then this is probably the wrong channel. And I've actually had some people, it's been a while now, but like, what are you doing telling people they're free? What do you mean giving them their power back? It's like, well, it's kind of a good thing, but that's my opinion. If it's not, yeah, you're really on the wrong channel. Again, one solid belief that I have. It's not just solid belief. It's because it's something I figured out, something I realized, something I experienced. God loves humans. If you're not a human, you're going to disagree with me. And you know what? You're going to be right. I'll agree with you. See, here's another thing about the Bible. I can't remember what she said, but she said, well, how do you know blah, blah? Because right here it says this, and I don't remember what verse was being quoted. And I said, well, you do realize that God was specifically talking to that group of people. Wasn't talking to humans. So I should say beings. So remember, there's there's actually more, but I'm going to give this. So there's 3 beings on the planet. There's the fallen angels, which we call demons or devils. Then there's the empty vessels walking around. And then there's humans. Now, of those groups, there's the 144,000. Trust me, these people are not like you. These beings are nothing like you, and you are nothing like them. And God has chosen them, and they are very, very, very special to God. So if you think that when God's talking to fallen angels, or God's talking to the empty vessels, or God's talking to the 144,000, or God's talking to the Jewish people, or God's talking to certain tribes, if you think he's talking to you, wow, yeah, you're kind of arrogant there, aren't you? Did I even mention the angels? Yeah, that's an entire group of beings, okay? I shouldn't have said people earlier. I meant to say beings, okay? There are different beings. So if biblical scholars that went to Bible college for 8 years or whatever and got their doctorate degree in biblical studies, If they are arguing between themselves, not only at different universities, but within their own university, within their own churches, what makes you think that you've got it all figured out? I personally don't. I'm still learning. I'm still reading. The advantage I have, though, is that I'm open, so I can read something and there's, boom, there's a knowing. It's like all of a sudden, like, wow, that makes sense. See, when you're walking around going, yeah, well, what about this? What about that? It means it's 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2 for you right now. When things start equaling 1 plus 1 equals 2, boom, you got it. In all sincerity, if it's not simple, then you don't have it. It really, when you start opening up to all this, man, that's so simple. It's like love is the fulfillment of all the commandments. Not about being perfect. Love is what opens your heart. Love is what opens you to God. Also, you're like, wait a minute. So this whole thing's about love? Yes. It's literally that simple. Okay. So again, I'm going to reiterate a belief that I have. It comes from a knowing. It comes from a physical flesh experience in the world, on the planet, in the spirit world. God loves us. Period. End of sentence. Now, I know there are churches that preach hell and damnation, and you're going to burn in the fiery pits of hell for all eternity. And I do believe the fallen ones, oh yeah. The empty vessels, the narcissists, oh yeah. I believe they're going. Here's the thing. The narcissists have been doing everything in their power to infiltrate your churches, and they've been doing this for centuries. This isn't a new thing at all. And they run the churches, they control the churches. I don't know, if there's a percentage of churches on the planet that do not have narcissists in control, it's pretty small. You have been lied to, you've been manipulated, and you've been tricked by these demons. The Bible does not say money is the root of all evil. It doesn't say that at all, not even close. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. And in that particular context, you have to look up the definition of love, what it meant back then when they wrote it, and in this context. It specifically means if you put it above your happiness, above your health, above your family, and above God. When you put love above all these healthy things, you're going to live a shitty life. When God said don't eat shellfish, a lot of Christians, that's a sin. Well, technically you could use that word, but it's a false translation of the actual meaning. It doesn't mean you're going to go to hell. It doesn't mean God's pissed off at you. It means you're going to get sick and die. It was like a health rule. Like, hey, don't eat shellfish or the I think it was the split hooved. I got to look that up. Cloven hooved or split hoof. So you weren't supposed to eat pig or swine, etc., or those kind of animals, because it would kill you. Because back then they didn't know how to clean shellfish or clean pigs in a way that wouldn't be toxic, that wouldn't kill you with bacteria, etc. And yet Christians run around, oh, you're a sinner, you're going to hell, oh my God, you ate a shellfish. You know, and then you've got the part about money where it says, thou shalt not serve two masters. And, well, you have to actually read into what it says. There's God, and then there's the God of money, which is called, forgive me pronunciation, but I think it's Mammon. And it's like, and when I read that one, I went to my house and go, wait a minute. Because I always thought, like, well, you're not allowed to have money. Money is the root of all evil. Money is bad. Because that's what the average Christian wants you to believe. Because I'm trained in linguistics and I'm also trained in communication, I look deeper into things. Also because I had a pastor that said, hey, you got to get this King James Bible with a Greek Hebrew lexicon dictionary with Old Testament, New Testament. You got to buy this. I got one right here. The King James Bible Word Book, and then there's another one over there. I forget the name of it. The something concordance. So you can look up what each word meant in that year, in the year 100. Not AD, but the year BC, etc. What do they mean when they use that word love? Because the word love has different meanings. Love of God, love of children, love of wife, love of job, and then there's sexual love. These are different forms of love. You're obviously not going to use the same form of sexual love with your children that you would with your wife. Obviously, the love of your job is not the same as the love of God. These are different forms of love. So you have to understand the actual definition and meaning. You want another false translation? Fear God, fear God. That's not what it says. That's not the meaning at all. The actual English definition of fear has nothing to do with the translation of the word. The word is like, It means like, okay, when I had a boxing coach when I was a kid, I was scared to step in the ring, especially my first 3 or 4 fights. I was terrified, and I looked to my coach. I was terrified, and during practice, leading up to all of these first 3 or 4 or 5 fights, I listened to every word my boxing coach said because I was terrified. So it wasn't that I was terrified of him. I was terrified of getting my ass kicked. So I was like, whatever he said, I did. And because of that, I won a state championship in less than a year. Now, was I afraid of my coach? Did I think he was going to beat me up and kick my ass when I was about 60, 70 pounds and he was a grown full man that got out of the Navy? No, he loved me. I knew he loved me. I knew he was going to do everything in his power so I didn't get my ass kicked in the ring. Look, people, when you get punched in the face, it hurts. You can break your jaw. You can break your nose. You can break your cheek. There's all kinds of things that can happen. So I used to tell people, like, I was more afraid of my coach than I was my opponent. Now, there's truth to that, but I don't mean in the sense that he's going to kick my ass, he's going to get mad at me, he's going to, hurt me emotionally or physically. Nothing. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I respected him so much. I wanted to win so bad that I was going to do whatever he taught me. And that's what God is trying to say to you. God is not here saying, fear me, you little wimp, you little unworthy being. Bow down and worship me because my ego is through the roof. Roar! But a lot of Christians want you to believe that. They want you to believe you. They want you to believe that God is an egomaniac, that he's an arrogant son of a bitch. And guess what? He's not. Do you know how people look at God? As themselves. I see God as loving. I see God as kind. I see God as compassionate. I see God as understanding. I see God as someone who supports you, loves you, wants to stand for you, wants to be there for you, wants to see you be happy, wants you to live a good life. Maybe that is just a reflection of me. It's a great reflection. Scientifically, what I know is there's an artery in the lower reptilian brain. If you are in a state of fear, panic, anxiety, confusion, doubt, etc., it disconnects you from God. It disconnects you from your higher connection to the spirit world. And that's what a lot of churches do. They put you in a state of fear. Oh, you're going to go to hell. Oh, there's something I just saw yesterday. It was on Facebook. And it was a picture of an image of, how outside of churches they got like that board where they put letters on, kind of like A&W used to do, and I think even McDonald's. They'd put letters up and say phrases or how many burgers they sold or whatever. This one said, how much do you owe God? Or how much do you owe Jesus, right? And I'm like, wow, now there's a pastor that has never truly read his Bible. So I clicked the button and it was all this fear and damnation and guilt and shame and how lowly you should feel because what Jesus did for you and what you owe Jesus and blah. And I'm like, oh no, you misunderstand, sir. The price has been paid. The price has been paid in full. There is no debt here, sir. You have no power over me. Can you imagine a pastor literally saying, how much do you owe? You don't owe anything. Has the man not read his Bible? Has he not heard of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Please, sir, read these 4 books. Please. Just read them all by yourself without any distractions, because clearly you've been distracted for the past 50 plus years. Does anybody on this channel understand what that whole thing was about Jesus being put up on the cross and crucified and just the whole, does anybody understand what that was for? Wow, okay, wow. It's kind of like Americans who, when I first went to 9th grade, that was the first year they canceled econ, so economy, and I can't remember the other class, the one where you learn about your Constitution, the 12th Amendment, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, your First Amendment rights. They got rid of those classes. Why? Because they don't want you to understand what's going on. Clearly people aren't reading their Bible, or they're watching the movies and videos of Jesus Christ being crucified, and they have no idea what the purpose is for. How clear does it have to be? The reason why I uploaded the video of Jesus and the woman at the well is because that woman was shamed her whole life. That woman was guilted. That woman was beaten down, treated like shit. She literally was ostracized. Nobody would talk to her. Nobody would spend time with her. Jesus comes along. She thought, oh, I get it. Another prophet is just going to condemn me. And he literally said, no, I have not come to condemn you. What did Jesus do? He lifted her burdens. He took all the shame and guilt away and he threw it in the trash. He literally said to her, I came here to speak to you. She's like, what? Go watch that video. He literally said, why do you think I'm here? Do you think it's a coincidence I'm here and on the hot part of the day? No, I came here to talk to you. I chose you as the one who's going to tell everyone of my coming, that I am here, that I have arrived. She is absolutely filled with joy. She realizes that the Messiah, the Christ, did not judge her. And that's when she finally realized, I'm free of all this judgment. I'm free of all this burden. I'm free of all the shame and guilt. So for those of you people who are using the Bible, using Jesus Christ's name and his words to shame people, to guilt people, you're satanic. I'm going to say it again. You're satanic, you're evil, and you're demonic. And none of that is going to be allowed on this channel. I will delete you in the heart of the beat of the beat of the heart. Period. End of sentence. That woman literally ran dancing joyfully with a full well inside of her. A wellness, like Jesus said, a wellspring will spring up within you. That's the wellspring of life. Now she's been given her life back. That is what this channel is about. If you have a problem with that, well, guess what? You're going to hell. And I already know that. And guess what? You do too. That's why you're coming on this channel, to knock people down. That's why you're coming on this channel, to knock me down. You don't want me to preach the good news. You don't want me to tell the truth. You want people to live in fear and shame, and you want them under your fucking thumb. You know why? Because you're a demonic narcissist. Peace out. Everyone is welcome. Muslim, Christian, Catholic, I don't care who you are. This is not a religious channel. I'm going to repeat that again. This is not N-O-T. This is not a religious channel. This is a spiritual channel of truth and spirit. If you've opened up to God, if you've accepted God in your heart and soul, you are saved. Jesus loves you. God loves you. And you do not have to convince me or the person next to you, or the demonic narcissist in front of you, or anyone that you're saved. The minute someone comes up to you, oh, are you saved? Punch them right in the mouth and then kick them right in the teeth. Let them have it. And when they're on the ground bleeding, say, yeah, I'm saved. Are you? Obviously not. Look at you now. So no, I don't actually want you to punch someone or kick someone in the teeth, but I want you to have this attitude that obviously that person is the one who's not saved. Obviously that is the person who's demonic. That's the person who knows they're going to hell. And that's what you have to start seeing. They're trying to put the seed of doubt in your mind, because that is what will turn you away. I have never once walked up to a Christian and say, are you saved? I mean, it's kind of a redunculous question, okay? It's like, no, man, that's just flat out rude. Like, do you want to know what it really is? It's ego. They're trying to say, I'm above you and you're beneath me. I'm so far above you. I'm asking you, by putting doubt in you, are you saved? Because I don't think you are. Because if you thought they were saved, you wouldn't ask that question in the first place. Now, would you? No, you wouldn't, you dumbass. It's kind of like discernment. I'm going to teach you and let you know if you have discernment or not. Trust me, I have discernment. I don't need you to tell me what discernment is or how I would know. I know. Do you know why? Because I have discernment. Derp. Do you want to know how to know if someone's a good person? They don't ask you if you're saved. They don't sit there and put seeds of doubt in your mind. They don't sit there and talk about fear. They don't sit there and talk about hell and damnation. You're going to go to hell. They talk about the beauty of life. Look at this picture. Look at the picture. It is literally angelic. It's beautiful. It's the light of God. It's everything that is good in life. And notice how she has a sword. Notice how she has armor. She's not weak. She's not stupid. She's not going to take her armor off and throw a sword. No, she knows that there's a bunch of assholes out there who are going to treat her like shit. So she's going to stand up for herself and say, really? You want to try me? Bring it on. That's exactly how you should be. You should be empowered, ready to kick ass and take names. This is not the church of fear. This is the church of awesome. This is where you learn how to beat your inner demons and learn how to live life to the fullest. Amen. God bless you guys. Hey, this is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Go ahead and click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment, and remember, go ahead and make a donation. There's a donation button, a PayPal link right there in the description box below the video. God bless you guys. See you soon in the next video.